From the Middle is a proud founding member of the Odd Pods Media Network.
Oh, for the love.
Sorry, just clearing my Mountain Dew hole.
I got my phone hole cleaned today.
That's where you keep it?
You're so cerebral and you're so developed and evolved. From the Middle after dark over here.
Corey, Kendall, and Dylan, this message may be wholesome, but I doubt it'll ever come close to how wholesome that you guys are. You're an amazing show that is genuinely humbling. Not only are you all genuinely the nicest people on earth, even when a car gets crashed, you're all hilarious, handsome, and perfectly nerdy.
We've met some shows, but none are quite like yours. We're both so incredibly glad we met you, and we are inviting ourselves to Ohio as soon as we can.
Yep.
Keep up the incredible work you've been doing and just take care of yourselves. Keep in touch, and thank you so much for being so amazing to listen to and talk to. Love, Jordan.
And Harrison. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, fellas.
That makes me happy. Friends, this is From the Middle, episode number 81. And we're here as three middle-class guys in the middle chapters of our lives, living in the middle of America. Middle something point of view is somewhere in the middle. And if we're middle everything, our middle section is collectively large. We just love all things middle. One of us is tipping that scale a little bit more than the other two, but we don't need to talk about that. That's not what we're here for. What we're here for is to acknowledge the fact that all of us in the States know and understand that when somebody from Great Britain speaks, they are speaking from a place that is 10 IQ points higher than yours. Mm-hmm. And it is amazing to me that the good folks over there at Grief Burrito have such high esteem for three middle-aged idiots.
Mm-hmm.
So Grief Burrito fellas, thank you. Merry Christmas to you. We've heard that there's been a mutation going on over there where you guys are. Look out for that.
I thought you might just transition to like a Merry Christmas to all and to all a good night. But
no, I went weird and depressing instead. Is that okay?
That's great.
As you are wont to do. We got that audio Christmas card from our friends at Grief Burrito today. And you guys, I got a little emotional. It warmed the cockles of my heart. That was so sweet. They're best.
So sweet. They melt me like a warm chocolate chip cookie. I tell you what, they're just the nicest.
They are, and this is certainly not why those guys sent that. But if you out there have not tried listening to the Grief Burrito podcast, you should do that. It is a very well done podcast by two guys who are witty as all get out, and they will make you laugh. And I've said this before that hearing people talk passionately about something is fun, even if it's something that you otherwise don't care about. It can be interesting to look into somebody else's world for a moment, but you need to have an entertaining character to lead you through that. And I tell you what, like all things gaming, you can go there and just listen to what their world is like. And just to hear those two guys riff off of each other is fun, enjoyable. Check them out. They are a very well thought out, very well put together operation. Unlike ourselves, they are truly the kind of production that we look up to.
I was going to say the same thing. The quality of banter and production value, we certainly aspire to. And I honestly, I kid you not, I feel like they could have a Netflix or Hulu show, like a
100%.
sitcom with them, and I 100% would watch it.
And
So,
not just gaming, mind you.
No.
They talk about a wide variety of geek culture subjects and cartoons and movies and tabletop gaming, and I mean they kind of
True.
span the gamut.
Yeah.
So
now, in the
yes,
true
they
spirit of-
certainly did not expect for us to open our show with that, but it was just too sweet and so nice of them that we had to just start your Christmas week episode with the warm sounds of the English accent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we did all of that before we even did this. So, Christmas is tomorrow. Or you're listening to this late and Christmas has already happened. And you forgot that gift for a special man in your life. And where do you turn? Well, where you turn is to your smartphone or your computer. You go into the browser, you type in artiusman.com, and you go there and you buy some manly scented items. And then when you go into the checkout, you type in the middle as your discount code. You save money, and then stuff ships however you decide to have that arranged. And when that special person opens that package, it is going to smell and waft so joyous that they will have forgotten that you forgot. artiusman.com.
That's right.
Yeah.
One of our listeners, who we affectionately refer to as Middlers, if you're joining us for the first time, we talked on the phone today, and they're like, "Hey, man, about to place a big order through Artius Man. Need that promo code." So I reminded him that it is the middle, and he saved 25% on a big first order. So be sure you do the same.
There's nothing more in the spirit of Christmas than talking about how you spend your cold hard cash.
That's right.
And that was a beautiful segue from the gentleman at Grief Burrito. Also, speaking of purchasing,
Segway sponsor as well. Go to segway.com.
Oh, did they? Or do we have a new sponsor? Are they on board? Do we have a new sponsor?
Why not?
Great. We also have stickers on sale, and we got to mention it one more time because it's only going through the end of the month. So check out our social media channels. All of our super, super sweet from the middle stickers are 50% off, and there's a quantity discount, which you're going to love. So go ahead and check that out as well. And that's what I've got.
No more announcements or advertisements. Speaking of kind words, we were surprised by a wonderful little article from Bullhorn FM. Dylan, tell us more about this, because I think you're more apprised of who these friends of ours are, and they wrote a nice little article.
Yeah. So Bullhorn .fm is a podcast listening app that basically, instead of people who are concerned about using up their data to stream podcasts and music, things like that, they found a way through their app to let you dial in and like listen to podcasts as if it was a phone call, so it doesn't use up your data. So they're a podcast kind of community hosting platform for listeners, things like that. And they have Podcast of the Week, and they chose us as the Podcast of the Week, which was an honor we weren't expecting, but it was fantastic. You can check them out everywhere that you download apps. Just search for Bullhorn. And if you want to see the write-up, we shared it on our Facebook page. We shared it in the From the Middle for the Middlers. And you can also go to bullhorn.fm, and they've got like a little like blog section on their website. And we're right at the top of that right now because we're the Podcast of the Week. So they did a very nice write-up about what our show is about, why you should listen to it. And it was very, very cool. So thank you, Bullhorn. That was a very, very cool honor that we got this week.
And also, USA Today wrote an amazing article, I'm sure, about podcasts. And we're one of those.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you, USA Today.
Woot, woot. Merry Christmas, you guys.
Merry Christmas
time.
This is already longer than our Christmas episode last year. If you were around, our normal release day is on Wednesday, and we decided because it was a holiday, we wanted to put something out on the normal release day, but I think it was something like a 5-minute episode. So it was very, very short. You can go back and listen to that if you want to hear what we did last year in a quick 5 minutes, but already longer. and dare I say, far more entertaining than the shenanigans.
So far, we've talked about ourselves a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you got to get the boring stuff out of the way right out of the gate, right? So, other than the message from Grief Burrito guys, which was fantastic, all the self promotion is over.
You guys excited? It's the big week. Christmas time is here.
Yeah. I'm in the studio, also known as my office, and looking at boxes of gifts that are hanging out here because this is after their rep where we decided to keep them. And because kids they can't find them if they're not in the house, right?
True.
And so they're not in the house. They are here with me. And I'm excited. We'll do our Christmas Eve gathering things, and then after Christmas Eve services, we'll be taking these things home, and Santa Claus will be paying a visit to the old homestead. I live for Christmas.
I know, man. That's what I'm over here thinking. Like this is your game.
It's the big week, man. This is. It's like 2020 never happened. This is it right here.
I'm curious. We have a almost 3-year-old. I'm curious how other people, you guys included, handle the Santa dilemma. Like, is he just, he's not real? Is he, sorry for anyone listening if this was a spoiler.
Oh, jeez. Oh, earmuffs, kids. Earmuffs, kids.
If he's not real, is he?
What?
Is that where all the big gifts come from? Is it just the small gifts? We decided, and this isn't firm yet, but like at least for this year until she's a little older, our little one, nothing is coming from Santa, but he is a part of the Christmas season. And we don't have to explain any more than that. So
yeah.
But it's not like none of the gifts
you've got it easy so far.
Yeah, none of the gifts are going to say from Santa, but we're just trying to figure out like how to talk about that. What did you guys do? Did you change the game plan as things developed?
As in change? Oh, as they grew older, or
yeah.
Because of COVID, did you tell them that like the North Pole has a bad and we can't?
Well,
or with each round, with each kid, right? Did you change the game plan?
However, based on age, based on kids, how did you guys handle that?
Go ahead, Kendall.
So our game plan is always our kids, 3 kids, and they're 13 months apart. So, so there's no game plan changing that needs to occur, but we have decided that we want Santa, kind of as Dylan put it, Santa's sort of part of the celebration. What I have chosen to do is to explain to my kids that look, Santa Claus that's not a real thing. But what sometimes adults like to do is play pretend with their kids, and so we're going to play pretend with you, and I tell them sort of like the redemptive story of Saint Nicholas and where that all comes from and stems from, and this little game of pretend that we're playing, like it's pointing us towards something better, and so that's all good. So I just sort of I explained that to them. I also tell them that it's okay to play pretend with other kids, and that other parents don't necessarily want their kids to know what you know, and so mum's the word. Hopefully they honor that. I expect at some point they're probably gonna they'll be the reason why some kid finds out.
Crash the party like that's I cool. Just did. Some adult is sobbing driving down I-71.
Exactly. Yeah, but I don't know. I'm willing to accept that responsibility, I suppose. But no, that's how we handle it. Speaking from sort of like the Christian perspective is anything that the world gives us, we have sort of 3 options. We can accept it as is and sort of go along and endorse it. We can reject it, or the third option is we can redeem it. And so that's the option that we're choosing for Santa Claus. We're going to redeem it, and instead of to be materialistic gain way of parents manipulating their children. We want to point it to the gospel instead. So, and generally have fun with our kids and play pretend, and everybody gets to know what's going on.
Yeah, same for us. I remember growing up, and once we were informed about the harsh reality of Santa's non-existence, it was like, well, we didn't want you to then not believe us about other things that we had told you about that you cannot see, right? And so I understood the thought process. So with our kids, we kind of like, we have fun with it when they're real little. And we do the pretend thing, and then we, I guess it varies per kid, but you eventually sit them down and you say, listen, we wanted to have fun and we wanted to make memories, and we enjoyed pretending, like Kendall said, with you and putting out the cookies and everything. But we want you to know, and Santa is not real, and we love you, but he's not real. Then you see their minds. Who ate the cookies and who drank the milk, and why were the carrots always left?
I don't know that I believe you, Dad. I saw carrots.
But yeah, everybody always, not everybody, many people have the story of how they found out, right? Mm-hmm. And our mom's is one that always makes me kind of chuckle. Their church was doing a sit on Santa's lap and tell him what you want for Christmas. And so my mom, the oldest of her family, was taken to the church to sit on Santa's lap. Why isn't Dad coming? Well, he's got stuff to do. So she sits on Santa's lap and then notices his wedding ring.
Oh man.
That it was the exact same as her father's. And she looked up and was devastated. Not like my dad is Santa Claus. Like, you sit on a throne of lies.
Who are you?
Thanks for starting us off there, Dylan.
Wow.
Well, that's what I'm dealing with. You want updates. This is real life, man. Yeah. I got a 2.5-year-old, almost 3-year-old. I got to figure out what I say about Santa.
No, have fun with it. I mean, it's like, you want some magic and some mystery and some intrigue and some fun and make believe and pretend, but then at some point you gotta dash their hopes and dreams. So,
in for the real world, just totally rain on their parade.
Speaking of the real world, I went out into the real world today for the first time in what feels like months. So my wife's birthday is the 23rd, so it's today.
Yeah.
And you gotta separate the birthday and the Christmas, right? Somebody shared on this is a little plug for our From the Middle for the Middlers group on Facebook. Somebody shared the meme that is the wise men approaching baby Jesus. And they're saying, now, just to be clear, this is for your birthday and Christmas. So Sherry grew up with that, right? Her birthday presents were wrapped with Christmas paper, or there was just a pile of Christmas presents, and her birthday gift was, well, you get to pick one, right? Like almost like an afterthought. So yeah, it's a delicate thing. But anyways, so I went out to interact with the world in order to get some last minute gifts for both birthday and Christmas. And I feel like I have lost all social normalcy. And I've learned that I default to basically a lonely 70-year-old man. So I sat down for lunch at a restaurant and I'm calling everybody by the name on their name tag.
Yeah.
Being like the corny, older white dude. And then I go to pay for my Skyline chili. By the way, if you know anything about Ohio, we like our chili and our Skyline and our Gold Star, which is on a hot dog with cheese. Anyways.
Or on spaghetti.
She goes, how was your food today? And my response in true 70-year-old man fashion was, boy, that really scratched an itch. That's what I said when paying for my skyline. And then it felt weird. And I was like, I'm sorry. But I was saying Merry Christmas to everyone. And I was saying Merry Christmas to everybody, calling them by their names, daring people to say Happy Holidays.
Caught myself calling dinner supper.
I mean, did you lean back like in your booth and stick your hand under your belt and jeans?
Yeah. Did you get up and undo a notch?
Boy, that really scratched and gross. What am I talking about? I've completely lost all normal.
I've
slowly watch your way.
Slowly
watch your way out of there, leaving a trail of baby powder.
I've expressed that concern to Bree a couple times. Like, I really feel like all social skills have gone out the window in this whole thing. And like I'm over interacting at drive-through windows or under interacting because they're talking so fast my brain can't keep up anymore.
Yeah, Space Robot 5 has to relearn the world.
But then you find yourself doing it mid-conversation, so you're trying to overcorrect, and then it gets weirder the other direction. I talked for way too long to the guy at FedEx when I was getting a few pieces of art printed out, like just weird stuff.
They start inching away and you're in the middle of a story.
Wait, I wasn't done yet. Let me show you pictures of my grandkids. It's weird, man. I did not do today well, the socialing.
You'll get back in it.
Yeah, there's always tomorrow. No, there's not. I'm not going anywhere. What else is new, guys?
Well, can we just get into it? The big news, the big event of the what has become a Christmas tradition now. There has to be the end of a Star Wars series or a Star Wars film. And that's a new Christmas thing. It's been the past several years that whenever my brother-in-law comes into town for Christmas, like we have a Star Wars movie to go watch.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Did you just segue us into a Star Wars conversation?
I did. And do you know why? Do you know why?
I don't.
You don't want to have to talk the rest of the episode?
Because I don't feel like talking anymore. No, I watched The Mandalorian season 2.
The whole season?
The whole thing. Done.
Oh, boy.
Quick. Done.
You
The
listeners
kids-
are in for it now.
The kids were in Cincinnati since Friday. And all weekend long it was just the wife and I. And we decided an hour. So honestly, it stemmed from us, according to Dylan's advice, going through the logistical conversation of what streaming services do we want to keep and which ones do we want to ditch for now. And Disney Plus is one of those that's getting ditched. But it was like, but first, Mandalorian. So watched that over the course of 2 days, and Disney Plus is going to be leaving our pocketbook for a while. So what'd you think? You know what we think. What'd you think? What did I think? So yeah, there's a Bubba who came back during the end there, and people were all excited about him. It was really cool. And so yeah, there's Bubbers. There was Scott Hamilton looks a lot younger now. So there's that.
I guess we better throw out a spoiler alert based on those. Jeez.
Yeah.
Bubba and Scott Hamilton.
Bubba and Scott Hamilton. So I thought his backflip was amazing.
Right?
Anyway, no, I don't know. I'm not the person to lead a Star Wars conversation.
Well, let's hear from some of the people. So we've been reaching out as we see people's interaction on not just the season finale episode, but the season in general. And so we want to play some of those for you before we dig into that conversation. Some came in via voice message, some came in via social media, some came in via text, but I don't care which one we start with.
This one.
the season finale of Mandalorian.
Spoiler alert.
It was great storytelling, great character nods, awesome fan service that paid respect to the franchise at the same dang time. And it is also laying down the foundations to what is going on in the current film saga, or the latest one. But it was epic fantastic. I jumped up and down when that X-wing slid into that ship, oh, so smoothly, and just walked around cloaked up. And I said to myself, my God, this is not about to be. Yes, it is. It's your boy out here saving lives. The whole thing is just so great. From the cast of characters, like the women that just took that ship with no mess ups, with ease, they took over that ship, and they just look.
So that was Michael Watson, good friend of ours, who was our guest for episode 45, and he got cut off. I'm sure he would have waxed poetic for quite a while longer about his thoughts on the finale, and he did a really good job of keeping it relatively spoiler free. But yeah, thanks, Mike, for the voice message.
Yeah, he was talking about the Scott Hamilton scene.
Scott Hamilton scene. I love his passion. All right, we got another one.
Well, holy Angelica Willikers, my from the Middle Brothers. Yeah, I can see why you were so damn excited about that. You guys love Boba Fett. I am very excited as well to hear any more about Boba Fett going forward into the next series. I actually thought that had been cancelled, so I'm glad that they're going forward with that as well, because I want to see more.
Oopsie.
I can't know if I can I swear? I don't know.
Poopsie.
Anyway, see you later, guys. Bye.
2 Hazes in 1 episode. That's awesome. Yeah, so tiny spoiler there on Boba. You can see next to me, I've got my Star Wars Holiday Special Boba Fett Funko Pop. So he's joining us for the episode. See, we got another one.
Hey, this is Russ. My thoughts overall on season 2 of The Mandalorian is more of a step in the right direction. I thought there were less unneeded scenes in season 2 than in season 1, but I could still do without all the traveling scenes just to fill space. If someone's saying they're going from one place to another, I don't actually have to see it. I would be fine with them just showing us as they arrive. As far as the cameo goes, I thought it was fantastic. Really, really good way to do fan service in a good way where it still made sense with the story. I didn't have any problem whatsoever with the CGI. But then again, I don't look into that stuff too deeply. And I think a whole lot of the fans on the net just need something to be mad about. So, but it looked fine with me. And I'm sure, like all things Lucas, they'll go back and keep correcting it over the years until it looks absolutely perfect anyways. But I loved it. So good season. I'm looking forward to what's next.
And that's our boy Russ from Infectious Groove Podcast giving his thoughts on the last episode. So Dylan, you want to read your text, and then we'll kind of take all of that into a big funnel that is dissecting the season finale and season 2 in general.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got a text from Brad in Philly. We heard a voicemail from him a week or two ago. And so here were just some of his general thoughts on Mandalorian season 2. And Brad from Philly says, I grew up with Star Wars, and for the first 2 decades of my life, we really only had episodes 4, 5, and 6. So, of course, it's great to see my favorite characters pick up and continue their stories. Spoiler, I love that Luke Skywalker was coming to save the day. It was in some ways mirroring the scene of Darth Vader at the end of Rogue One, like father, like son. Also, who's your favorite new character that was introduced in the show? That question is directed for us, so we can answer that. And then he goes on to say, I asked him a little bit about, he had mentioned in a side conversation, he really loves the character of Ahsoka Tano. And so he said, I've always been kind of questioning some of the things that the Jedi do. I guess I identify with her. She's actually a good person. She was trained by Anakin, so she's certainly a powerful Jedi. And she has the power of the Force behind her, but she's also always trying to do the right thing with it. She wields it. She knows its power and what it can do, and she respects it. Also, the white lightsabers are sick. So, and some of that alludes to a little bit the animated series. If you never watched Star Wars: The Clone Wars, long story short, the Jedi Council they don't turn on Ahsoka, who's a Jedi in training, but they think she might be guilty of a crime, and she ends up walking away from her Jedi training and from being a Jedi because she feels betrayed by the Jedi Council. And so but even after that, and then we see her in the Clone Wars, she's still trying to do the right thing, and she's still trying to find the villain, and she's still trying to help people, even though she's no longer a Jedi. So that's a little bit of what he's alluding to with some of the extra content. So thank you, Brad and Philly, and we'll come back to your question. Who are new favorite new characters that were introduced in the show are?
Dylan, you want to start? I've got so many. How do I choose just one?
I mean, it feels like
you almost got to take the Mandalorian out.
Yeah, I was just gonna say you almost have to remove Din Djarin or the main primary character because he's so good. He's like, especially now that we've seen the end in the send off with Grogu, or Baby Yoda, as obviously people are gonna always call him. You almost have to take him out of it. And really quick, let's listen. Let's hear from one of our friends. Do a quick ad, and then let's come back because Din Djarin deserves a pause and for us all to take a moment.
Looking for a new podcast? Check out the Infectious Groove podcast. My name is Russ, and I host the show along with Michelle and Kyle. Every Monday, the three of us bring you music news and tell you our jammy jams, so you'll always have new music to check out. The Infectious Groove podcast discusses music from nearly every decade and genre while openly displaying our passion for music you need to hear. On top of that, we have a thought-provoking main topic of discussion every week to get you thinking, discussing, and sharing music. We also include interviews with the music stars of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all major podcast platforms. Subscribe and listen to the Infectious Groove podcast on your favorite podcast platform today.
So, favorite character introduced in Mandalorian. Okay, it's going to be kind of a tie. I wish we had seen more of Werner Herzog, the client from season 1, as kind of a villain. He's the gentleman that's kind of in the bunker that originally is paying Din Djarin to go pick up the kid. It's between him and Giancarlo Esposito as Moff Gideon. Like, he's such a good villain. And the whole scene on like the bridge of the ship in the finale, where he's sort of playing the situation and he knows the dark troopers are there and he's sort of playing it up. He's just so good. It's probably Moff Gideon.
And you didn't even see him in Breaking Bad.
No.
He's so scary in Breaking Bad. He's a wonderful actor.
Yeah, so I feel like it's got to be Moff Gideon. And I'm just trying to not to go with the obvious, like it's still Grogu or it's still Ahsoka wasn't introduced in this series. So I won't say Ahsoka. Cara Dune is really cool as a character. Some people will criticize her acting chops, Gina Carano's acting chops, but I think she's done a fine job. So
she's my runner-up. She's not a great actor. She's clearly more of a MMA fighter. But from a character design and just her look and how she carries herself, and especially that episode where they're taking over the ship, she's just cool. But I'm actually going to go with Bill Burr as Mayfield. I think he brought like a really cool depth to his character. We saw him earlier in the series, but the second to last episode, where he goes with Din Djarin into the Imperial base, and you sort of learn how much the war, they referenced a specific battle. I don't remember the name of it, but how much it affected him. He almost has like post-traumatic stress associated with it. And when the officers start sort of flippantly talking about the lives that were lost, you can kind of see him snap. So he goes from this comedic relief character to like one with a lot of depth, and then he kind of shows his good side by sort of saying, hey, nobody's seen your face, and he gives Mando his helmet back and helps him sort of bust out of there. So I don't know, maybe it's because I'm a big stand-up fan and I just respect Bill Burr as a comedian, but I thought he brought a lot of a cool layer to the show. And it was cool seeing him as a pretty badass guy. I thought it was cool.
I thought it was interesting. I don't know if this backstory is true, but it's going to be canon in my head. I guess Jon Favreau invited him to be on the show where Bill Burr had actually made fun of Star Wars, like in general, and was not a fan.
Doesn't
And
surprise me.
And Jon Favreau sort of like, let me change your mind kind of thing. Let's find a place for you. And then Bill Burr has come on the show. That doesn't mean he likes Star Wars anymore now, but I have a feeling that being a part of something like The Mandalorian has got to at least change your opinion a little bit. But yeah, to have basically 2 episodes and his character to develop that much. The first episode, you don't think he really cares about anything at the end of that episode. He's the same character at the beginning that he is at the end of the episode. Mm-hmm. And then that just totally 180s in his second episode, which is a lot. And I think Wikipedia has his official Star Wars location as Space Boston. So I think that's where he reports from. No, I'm just kidding. But
Space Boston.
I think he's from Space Boston. So yeah, I get it.
Yeah. That was Mayfield would be my answer as well. I like I always enjoy sort of the little character that comes along and helps the cause in their own unique fashion. And in Star Wars, it's often like a co-prisoner, or a thief, or it's often like a dirty character of some sort that has some particular skill or knowledge. And I always enjoy those little characters, and they're often used for comic relief, which I like. But yeah, no, the character development, it just taking that one little view of one little like bit character who is in 2 episodes far apart from one another, and just seeing what a writer can do with that character, and to me is impressive. And I thought, I don't know, Bill Burr, just like having a British accent makes you smarter. Having a New England accent just like makes you funnier. And like, anything you say, like if it has any kind of sass behind it, but you put a Boston accent on it, it just comes out hilarious to my ears. And so, yeah, I enjoyed that.
I almost wish they would have taken his development a little further. There's no reason that they couldn't have thrown him on the ship, right? Like,
yeah,
I think he'll be back. I don't think that's his last episode.
Yeah,
I think he'll be back, and I think he needs to be wearing a Scully hat when he comes back.
I'm kind of intrigued by. I'll put it this way. I'm intrigued by where they could take Fennec Shan, played by Ming-Na Wen. I'm not impressed yet, and it's not Ming-Na Wen's fault because her character, she's playing the same character she was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. If you watch that, she's just like the enforcer role, right? So like, there's no depth to her yet. We don't have any backstory. She kind of struck me as like, apparently the Fets have a type because she looks a lot like the assassin that Jango Fett hired to take out, the Padme, and I think Attack of the Clones. So like at the beginning, even like the helmet and like being the assassin, like it's all, the Fets clearly have a type for their number 2. And so I'm watching this and like Boba Fett basically has the same type as his dad. That's Ming-Na Wen in this movie. The helmet's the same or almost the same. The look is very similar. But they just haven't done anything with her yet. So it's not that she's not a cool character, but she's not interesting yet. And I hope
Sam Wessel, man, that was bothering me. It was Sam Wessel.
So I hope they do a lot more with Fennec Shan because I think Ming-Na Wen has a lot more range that they haven't shown yet. But yeah, man, I totally get it on Bill Burr. I think a lot of people after that second episode he was in really felt like he was the shining part outside of the action. He was the shining part of that episode with the cast. So, and I have to say, so just as a big picture thing with season 2, not new characters, but we get Ahsoka Tano shows up, Bo-Katan shows up, Boba Fett comes back, Luke Skywalker comes back, Thrawn gets name dropped, which is just going to be a great villain in live action. and not to mention getting to see Dark Troopers and the Dark Saber all come like to life in this show. So much happened in season 2 in hindsight now compared to season 1. It's crazy.
Dylan, that's just fan service. Don't you realize this is all just a cash grab?
Yes, I do realize it. And as long as the quality is there, I don't care. It doesn't. I was reading a thing earlier because obviously at the end of the finale, the book of Boba Fett or whatever was kind of on the was like a title screen or something, and Disney has confirmed that that's a series that's coming next year as well with the Mandalorian season.
Yeah,
3.
separate from, there was some early speculation that the book of Boba Fett would be the Mandalorian season 3.
Right.
See, that's what I was wondering too.
And they confirmed that they are 2 separate things.
2 separate shows. And so on top of the Disney Investor Day announcement with all the other Disney stuff coming, that's Star Wars and Marvel and all that. Yes, there is a ton of content coming. However, if it's done well, that's not a bad thing if they take their time. I think clearly enough people are fans of The Mandalorian that Disney, Lucasfilm, Star Wars, they're getting a pretty good idea of what the fans enjoy.
Yeah.
And so
there's certainly no shortage of ideas and stories that they can tell. And
oh man,
every time they come out with something, like there's new.
Well, when
there's new stories. Like there's just always. I mean, when's the animated series of Luke Skywalker starting his camp, and that ends with what ends up being an origin story of Kylo Ren. Like when does that happen? Like that's going to happen at some point, right?
Well, and I think that's the idea that the Clone Wars, which all that probably could get off the ground at the time was the animated Clone Wars, was the supplemental material to the prequels and led into the original trilogy. Rebels, the animated series, was the supplemental material to the original trilogy and to the sequel trilogy. So the idea is now they don't have to do animated series anymore. Now they can make supplemental material for the sequel trilogy, and it can be live action short series on Disney Plus, and they can fill in whatever gaps they wanted. And by creating something like the Clone Wars animated series, it made a lot more fans out of the prequel trilogy because they were able to fill in a lot of gaps and add to the characters and Anakin and Padme and Obi-Wan and the clones. And it made people much bigger fans of the prequels than they might have been. And so I think that's what we're seeing now. And Disney can continue to make supplemental content that will, over time, soften people's opinions of the sequel trilogy as the universe gets filled in and they get more answers and they see more and the story gets fleshed out more. So I think that's the beauty of what they can do now with a bunch of miniseries on Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm. I want to talk a little bit more about the post-credit scene, and I only posted in our Facebook group that there was one because I normally love listening to the music and watching the concept art during the credits, but once it goes to black, I'll sometimes just get out of the episode. For whatever reason, we just left it playing, and my daughter goes, "Dad, there's more," and then they show Jabba's palace, and I'm like, "Oh snap!" And I had this moment where, for 2 series, we realize where this falls in the overall timeline. We know that The Mandalorian is taking place some years. I've heard anywhere from 3 to 10 years after the second Death Star was destroyed and the Emperor was supposedly killed. So this is shortly after Return of the Jedi, right? But you get so into The Mandalorian and that story that you kind of forget where it falls. And so to be taken back to Jabba's palace and to see that Bib Fortuna has now basically assumed the throne, I'm assuming, of Jabba's throne. And then Fennec comes down, Boba Fett comes down, shoots Bib Fortuna, who says McClunky, by the way. Did you hear that?
Yes.
We talked about that in a previous episode, how they sort of rejiggered some of the scenes between Han and Greedo, and that this phrase McClunky was heard. Interestingly, after that happened, I saw the actor that played Bib Fortuna comment McClunky because he knew he was going to say it later, right? So anyway, that was cool.
Yeah.
But then Boba Fett assumes Jabba's throne, and it just to see Return of the Jedi stuff in the Mandalorian world, a character who nothing has happened in his story since 1983, to just like all these ways that things loop back around and fuel and add to and supplement and maybe some of it you would only appreciate if you were as deep into this stuff as two, sometimes three of us are. But I think all the ways that the story supports itself and loops back around, and to Kendall's point, there's so much you can still do and add and explain that chunk of time that was never explained. And I mean, the same is true for any huge universe. J.K. Rowling, how many wizard stories can you tell? How many Star Trek spin-off stories can you tell? How many Doctor Who stories can you tell? Like these big worlds that were created by artists and writers, Marvel. I mean, it's just massive, the scale of it. And so it's just so fun for me to see these things connect over time. And I don't know. It's so fun to get lost in and have conversations about on Christmas week.
Well, and like one thing I think about The Mandalorian that I appreciate, with really just getting, as far as live action is concerned, the movies, I like how much more grounded it feels. And one example that I'll use. So Din Djarin, the Mandalorian, gets on the ship. One single dark trooper gets out of their sort of holding area. And this character that we've seen basically beat down enemies for 2 seasons,
kick
gets
butt and
manhandled, and only because of essentially a special weapon is he able to beat the dark trooper. It kind of resets. You go, okay, Din Djarin is very human, and those dark troopers just got pulled out the hatch, but like, this is serious. And then to see Luke come in and just absolutely manhandle him. And I love that scene on the bridge because like Moff Gideon knows they're all dead when the dark troopers are released. Like he's basically messing with Bo-Katan knows she's dead. Fennec Shan knows she's dead. They all know they're dead when the dark troopers are coming. And it's sort of like Rogue One when you're seeing these guys storm the beach and you're seeing Vader come down the hallway. And you get to see I don't want to sound cheesy, but you get to see the power of the Force again through the everyday character's eyes, and you go, oh snap.
Yeah.
Like you're in Rogue One and you're looking up at the AT-ATs breaching through the palm trees, and you feel that point of view of the everyday person again. And then Luke shows up and Moff Gideon attitude totally changes. Now he wants to off himself because he doesn't want to have to deal with this Jedi, because you're seeing raw like Force power again. And it's just so nice to have those moments where you kind of get a refresher, because we just saw Rey pick up a lightsaber and duel Kylo Ren. And you forget what the gifted Force users world is like until you see it again from the point of view of Mando barely surviving one dark trooper.
That's a beautiful point.
It's so refreshing to see that contrast. So like in one scene, and just compare A and B, and to get that, because you're right. And so much of what we see with Star Wars is a lack of that contrast. You're either looking at one world or the other. And then you have one that says, well, this is these are the playing fields.
Yeah, Lily even commented on it. It's the only comment she made during the finale was like, for 2 seasons, we've watched the toughest thing be a guy with really good armor. And then maybe he met his match with Moff Gideon because he has a darksaber. But she's like, all this talk of who's tough and who's strong, and sort of like your bar for what power was, and then a Jedi comes in and just cuts through that like butter, and it just makes you appreciate the Jedi so much more. Did you guys know right away that it was Luke? Like when the X-wing came in?
My first reaction was actually the pilot from a previous episode, I
The
thought,
Snow Planet.
maybe a couple X-wings are showing up. They're gonna like, maybe he's the head of a boarding party or something to help with the Dark Troopers, and then you see somebody get out and you see a lightsaber, and you're thinking there's only a couple known Jedi left in the universe. There's a character from a video game that's canon, but that felt like would be a weird introduction. There's Ahsoka, and then you see a green saber. And then the glove all but confirms it. The single glove, pulling his MJ glove out with his lightsaber. And so then it's like, then it's Luke, right?
Yeah.
And so I didn't initially think Luke, honestly.
I thought I was proud of myself because like I noticed a glove and told my wife then and there that, oh, I bet you that's Luke. And I thought I was proud of myself. And then Dylan was like, well, and then there was the obvious point.
That was the last most obvious thing I needed to know what was going on.
What did you
did
guys
you at
think?
least cheer a little bit when you saw his face?
Yeah.
Was that a moment at all for you, or was the glove your cheer moment?
No, the whole thing was exciting at that. I mean,
no. I mean, like I had this moment sitting there with my wife, but if you were in the movie theater and everybody in the movie theater goes, yeah. Does that moment happen when they see the glove, or does that moment happen when they see his face?
Most people, I don't think, would have picked that or would have put it together from the glove, or they would have held suspicion until it was confirmed by the face.
That depends on whether you're going to the theater on opening night or whether you're going to the theater 3 weeks later.
Such a good point.
Opening night, you're the idiot if you don't pick up on the glove. 3 weeks later, everyone sees Luke's face and goes, oh.
All right. Well, I picked up on the glove, and I thought that it was super awesome that I did.
Good job,
buddy. And then Dylan was like, blah, 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 blah. I don't want to talk about Star Wars anymore.
I didn't mean to take. Well, if we've got to end the Star Wars discussion, can I put one warning out there for people?
No, hold on. On the face, did the mocap face bother you? The video game looking face, the Uncanny Valley, the whole thing. Lily didn't even know that she thought it was an actor who just looked a lot like him because she was sitting further away. Does that bother you? Like what they did with Princess Leia in Rogue One?
Is it the same thing they did with Princess Leia?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I was fine with it. If that's the case, I think it was better done than it was with Princess Leia.
It's high-tech deep fake. It's basically what it is.
I was pretty sure it was Sebastian Stan, the Winter Soldier from Marvel, with all the side-by-sides I've seen of him lately. My brain just jumped to that because I've seen enough like recent memes that like Sebastian Stan could play a young Luke Skywalker. So it didn't bother me, to answer your question, but it did pull me out of it. It pulled me out of the show because I wasn't really listening. I had to rewind because I wasn't really listening anymore. I was looking at the details because I was just kind of mesmerized by it. So it pulled me out of it a bit, and I can't fault him for that. I mean, it is what it is. I did the same thing when I watched Rogue One with Grand Moff Tarkin and with Leia. It kind of pulled me out in both of those moments.
Yeah.
I was honed in more on what it was than what was happening.
It's a little weird. It's the Uncanny Valley, something we've talked about, I think, once or twice before in this podcast, which is the closer you try to get to human realism, the more you notice that it's not a human being. Especially the dead giveaway is always the mouth. They cannot, with technology, get the lips to wrap around the teeth and do the things that your mouth does when you talk, and it just looks like a video game. Now, when he was just sitting there with a static face, I would have believed that was 1983 Mark Hamill all day long. But once they talk and once the lips move around the mouth, I'm like, it's kind of weird, kind of video game cutscene for me.
Yeah.
But does it bother you? Like, do they wish they don't?
No, I don't know what else you would do, right? Because like if you put, even though that Sebastian Stan looks so much like a young Mark Hamill, then you're going to have people complain like they did for Solo, right? Like, you should have just mocapped his face, made Harrison Ford's face on him, or whatever. Like,
yeah. I don't fault them. I don't think it'll be the last time we see Luke in all of these things that are coming out in live action. I think they'll either keep doing it or they'll have an actor by then that they're going to use permanently.
Cool. They use Mark Hamill's voice.
Yeah, I again, I can say it really truly didn't bother me, but it pulled me out a little bit, and then I was sitting there kind of focused more on it than I probably should have been. So, I
Okay,
know it
what was your
bothers.
what was your
I know it
warning?
bothers some people. So my warning was going to be, I drew a parallel in my mind, and maybe I'm overthinking it, but I wanted to say
No.
it. So do you remember after? I was certainly overthinking Star Wars, but do you remember after The Force Awakens? There was heavy speculation about Snoke, where the story would go, because it felt so open-ended at the end. Like it didn't, you knew at the end of season 1 of Mandalorian that like it was still going to be about Baby Yoda as the story. We have no idea where season 3 is going to go now. So my warning to people is don't work up a bunch of expectations for what season 3 is going to look like at this point. If you're a big fan of the show, I think people are going to get really, really excited about things that could happen because it ended so open. I think people are going to want what they think should happen next to happen next, and are get more hung up on that than they should. Moff Gideon is still alive, but is it going to be about Bo-Katan? How's Mando going to get the saber to Bo-Katan?
Well, let's create a little time capsule. Here we are.
Going to show up.
Here we are, December 2020. What do you think's happening in season 3? And we'll come back and listen.
Well, my point isn't what I think's going to happen. My point is, I mean, I don't mind speculating.
Yeah. No, we get your point. But let's have some fun now.
Yeah, let's have some fun.
All right. So that's my warning.
Fair. That's a good point though, because it might be like a football team has a building season. It might have to be like a stopgap kind of season where you build up another epic plot.
We might not get as many cameos in season 3. So it might feel like it's de-escalating because he's completed his task. Grogu's gone. We might not see Thrawn. It might be more about Bo-Katan, and it might feel like one story drawn out longer because anyways, that was.
Yeah. I think kind of part of what you're trying to say is, hey, maybe you'll enjoy season 3 more if you don't make up in your head what you think it should be, as far as even the very storyline itself.
Right.
And then get disappointed because someone else had a different idea.
Right.
Yes. Don't do that.
That's Dylan's MO though. Anyway, like even if I say a movie was awesome, he's like, I'm just going to pretend it was 7 clicks less awesome so that I enjoy myself at the theater. Because Corey has a tendency to sensationalize.
Well, maybe it's of all of my failings, maybe it's one of the few things in life I do well because I enjoy my life more than other people. So
just have a really low bar in all areas of life.
Not even a low bar, but certainly don't get worked up about what you think things should be all the time.
Okay, let's not talk about should. Just where do you think it's going to go season 3?
I think knowing that the whatever, there's going to be the New Republic show, Marshals of the New Republic or whatever it's called. That's got to pull Cara Dune off, right? So that's going to be primarily about her. So I think she'll be in Mando season 3 less. I think Grogu's probably gone for a while. I don't know that I expect Ahsoka back soon. I think this might be a little bit of a build up with Bo-Katan, Bo-Katan's number 2, and probably jumping more into the Mandalorian world, like trying to figure out the power struggle on Mandalore. I think at this point, we might see Thrawn show up once or twice as the villain because the Mandalorians are going to need somebody that's a villain, and he's going to kind of represent the Empire. But I think it's going to be more behind the scenes, the world of the Mandalorians.
What I think is sort of character development wise with the Mandalorian is that he we saw in the last couple episodes that he's done a couple things that he's never really done before because the situation called for it. Taking off the helmet, putting on a different uniform, and then taking off a helmet altogether, showing his face a couple of different times because it called for it. He's been confronted by sort of I don't know if you would call it sort of by another Mandalorian philosophy, That's what I think we're going to see is some personal character development and deep like religious questioning type of stuff about his own existence. And so that's what I expect the Mandalorian to be more about the Mandalorian.
Yeah, he's made certain moral compromises, and so how will that affect him now that he's sort of gone against the code and the way a little bit? Like,
yeah,
how much does that eat him up inside? I'm interested to see more of the network of the Mandalorians. They've talked a lot about factions and like the zealot groups, and then I wonder if they sort of build out this network further and start to show us more. What's the status on Mandalore right now? Is it like in disarray and like Armageddon? It's rubble,
essentially.
Huh?
I think destroyed, essentially.
Yeah, I thought so, right? So there's not much to fight for there. So I'm assuming we go back to Mandalore and see what the current state of affairs is, but try to build it, like have all these little factions of Mandalorians, and those that are more religious about it, those that are more true mercenaries, those that are, I think that would be interesting to play with a little bit, to a point though. I mean, that's maybe they all come together for one big battle at the end to defeat somebody, right? People liked it a lot when they were when we saw a bunch of them together in the streets to save the day at one point, to let Mando get off the island, the planet. But yeah, interesting stuff. But it's just to show you guys it's not like life or anything.
Yeah, and now that season 2 is over and it's all done and we've had a chance to talk about it, I think it's a good time for everybody to go and check on their children.
They can all ride bikes, Kendall.
I'm just saying, just don't forget that they're there. That's all.
All right, we have a few minutes left. Let's since we didn't really do much of it last year, like maybe just one favorite Christmas tradition or thing or moment, not a specific one, just when this happens and I hear this song and the smell of this, to me, that's just Christmas. Like, let's just wrap up with a nice Christmas thought.
Yeah, man, I'm a sucker for like the Bing Crosby, Nat King Cole, Rat Pack Christmas music. That to me, I mean, that makes things feel like Christmas. And obviously I'm a fan of food, so I have more of a podcasting body. So I think a good meal, nice music playing, that's it, man. That's it. But this year it'll be fun because again, 2.5, 3-year-old, gonna be more fun watching her. She didn't know what she was doing last year, so watching her open gifts I think will be a lot more fun this year.
For me, outdoors stuff. So Christmas lights, chill in the air. There's so many sensual things that happen outside when it just starts to get cold. That just remind me of like going out Christmas shopping with my dad once a year, or the same thing, going out Christmas shopping with my mom, or driving around as a kid looking at Christmas lights and that kind of thing. And so just like all of that general feeling of Christmas that I used to have as a kid comes up every time that I smell cold air. Every time that I see people Christmas shopping, every time I see somebody putting up Christmas lights, just all that.
Yeah, I'm sappy for the music too. When Nat King Cole's the Christmas song comes on, those first couple notes, and there's a fire, and even better if somebody has their wood burning stove on and you smell it just does it get any better than that? I'm so excited. I've done some really good shopping and gift giving this year. And I genuinely, this isn't because I'm supposed to say this, I genuinely get so excited to give people gifts. And I was telling Sherry tonight before we recorded, nobody asked me what I wanted, and I didn't tell anybody anything I wanted. So I have no expectation for myself. And I'm just so excited for people to see their gifts. I think it's going to be a really fun birthday and Christmas.
Cool.
So,
Beautiful.
guys, one of my gifts is doing this show with you. It's a lot of fun. And I know we talked about what? What'd you say?
Like my mom.
I know we talked about it at the top, tippity top. But just the fact that like this little thing that we wanted to do is starting to have a little bit of a ripple effect, and people, some people, few people, a couple people, well, just Jordan and Haz enjoy it. And that people write about what we talk about. And yeah, it's just really fun. And I don't know where it's going to go in 2021. There are some exciting things in the works with the network that we're a part of that we will talk about later. But I have a blast. And so it's fun to have a space set aside to talk about life and geek culture and catch up with you guys and give our thoughts and opinions on things. So anyway, thank you for the gift of doing this each week.
You're welcome. And if I get nothing else except time with you and a bromance with the Grief Burrito boys, I feel real good about it.
It's a good day.
But then again, my bar's real low. So
I feel warm and fuzzy, and not just because I farted recently, although that does make me happy. I came up with a new term. I call farts now breathing seasoning. Is my new fart term. So yes, I've sprinkled a little breathing seasoning in my office, and that is my little Christmas gift to myself.
What notes are you picking up on?
Mostly Diet Dr. Pepper.
The Skyline for me.
I didn't have Skyline today, but
Jeremy Bullock passed away last week. The OG, the original man behind the Boba Fett mask, which is another reason that this guy is next to me if you're watching on the YouTube. So rest in peace, Mr. Bullock. Thank you for giving us a character that we all love. And ultimately that led to this show that we all love and talked way too much about tonight because it's just a show, but it's fun and we're grown-up children. So that's fine.
100%.
Anything else, boys?
Nope. Peace.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Have a beautiful Christmas. Sucks that we can't all be with our families the way that we would like, but we hope that you enjoy. Make the most of it. Tell your family you love them. Enjoy your gifts. Have fun.
If anybody gives you their heart, do not give it away the next day.
Do not.
The
very next day? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Of all days, don't do it on the very next day.
Right.
All right. Bye.
See ya.
Breathing seasoning.